Cricket the Wax Chick here. I want to talk to you about the two different types of wax. You'll see them in different formulations, but there's really just two types, strip wax and hard wax. Strip wax, as the name would have you believe, is a wax that is removed using a strip of cotton. That's how you remove it, so it's known as strip wax or soft wax. Hard wax does not require a strip to remove. Once applied, it sets up on the skin, shrink wrapping around the hair. Then after a few seconds, it's ready to be removed and you just pull the strip itself right off. So that's the difference between strip wax and hard wax. When we are talking about hard wax, there's usually two types, non-polymer and polymer. A non-polymer hard wax is a hard wax that does not have polymer in it. And polymer is plastic. And that ingredient is added to a wax to kind of make it more spreadable. You get a thinner application with a polymer hard wax than you would with a non-polymer hard wax. In the Wax Chick line, I have two hard waxes. One is the Pina Colada, and that is a non-polymer hard wax. That is the hard wax that doesn't have polymer in it. It is also biodegradable and compostable, so it's very friendly to the environment. If you're someone who wants to be green and leave less of a footprint, the Pina Colada is the way to go. The Pina Colada hard wax has a creamy, luxurious consistency. And when you apply, it's just like any other hard wax. I'll try to demonstrate for you. I always deposit my wax first and then I apply. And I usually just go straight in the direction of the hair. I don't try to do any fancy circles or figure eights. It's really not necessary. And when you're first learning to use hard wax, it's much easier to just use your firm pressure and go straight down. This is already set up. It's just been a second or two. So I get a little lift and then I'm gonna remove. Just like that. And as you can see, this Pina Colada non-polymer hard wax remains very pliable. That's super important. It doesn't harden, stiff, and rigid. So the pliability means that it's going to glide across the skin and remove more hair because it's not a solid chunk of wax. I hope that makes sense. The pumpkin pie, my other hard wax, is a polymer hard wax, so it does have plastic in it. And that's going to mean that you can apply it a little bit thinner. So you might get more services out of a pound of wax because it can be applied a little bit thinner. And again, I would apply by first depositing the wax, and I do that so that you get all the wax you can off your stick so that you're not wasting any wax. And then you just move, firm application, apply that wax in just a straight downward direction. I'm holding my stick just like this to I'm at a weird angle on myself, but typically you want to hold your stick straight up. It's already set. By the time you're done applying it, it's already set. You don't need to wait and wait and wait. It literally sets up as you're applying it. So then, and I don't know if you can see, but I'm gonna put my hand behind there. And you could probably see my hand through the wax strip. That is how thin the application is. And again, this is also really, really pliable. Pliability is super important because it allows the strip to be removed so that it kind of rolls off the skin instead of in one giant chunk. And when things are removed, one giant chunk, it will break the hair. When things can kind of roll like this and stay pliable, it will get more hair removed at the root instead of breaking it. The strip wax is the liquid gold strip wax. This is a really unique wax in that I like to say it's a strip wax that behaves like a hard wax because it's so gentle. It doesn't leave a sticky residue. When you're working with strip wax, in general, the stickier the wax, the more irritating it's going to be to the client because strip wax sticks to both the hair and the skin. And so if it's super sticky, when you remove it, it's going to leave a lot more irritation and inflammation for your client. But this particular wax is not. And again, I deposit my wax. When you're using strip wax, you go 90-degree angle, straight down, and you can see how thin that application is. And I'm using my favorite cotton strips. Now I'm just gonna adhere this strip to that wax. You don't have to rub back and forth, just a couple of short passes. I'm pulling my skin taut by flexing my arm, and then I'm gonna remove with my arm as close to the body as possible. This is how you wanna remove all wax, by the way. Keeping your hand low and close. You never wanna take your strip and pull up like this. You always wanna take your strip and pull straight back, so that your arm never leaves the surface. Just going back and getting some bits here. Because the arm is curvy, so the strip didn't go all the way around. There we go. And I don't really have hairy arms, but you can see that came off nice and clean. Here's my arm. Not sticky, not tacky. You can't hear any from the glove sticking. So it really makes your cleanup so much easier. That is the liquid gold strip wax. When it comes to pre and post, I'm kind of lazy. I don't like to have a lot of steps that I have to do. In my line, I really only have 2 pre and post products. I don't pre-clean the skin. If a client has excess moisture or oil on the skin, I will take a clean cotton round and wipe the area to help absorb that. If they are excessively oily or moist, I will use the dusting powder. The dusting powder is great to absorb excess moisture and oil on the skin before you start waxing. Or if your client becomes sweaty during the wax, it's great to help absorb that moisture in the process of your waxing. My next product is the Wonder Whip. This is a hydrating balm. It is packed with wonderful ingredients like shea butter and jojoba oil. It's really not greasy, it's not oily. It's going to penetrate into the skin. You can see it's kind of like a nice whipped consistency. And I like to use this in the Brazilian area. I use it on the labia and the behind, the anus, and all of the dry creases in between this area, the area on the bikini, because we want that hydration and we want to give a little bit of protection. So I have just a small amount in my hand. You might want to use like a dime size amount. And then you work it into your hands first. You kind of emulsify it. And then you see my hands are a little bit shiny. So you have your product, and then you apply it to the skin. And it's going to penetrate pretty quickly so that it protects and hydrates the area. And on the post side, I will use the Wonder Whip again, and I will use it everywhere. The labia, the behind, the mons pubis, just to make sure everything is nice and hydrated. And it also helps to calm and soothe the skin. My next product is the Buff Stuff Exfoliating Cream. This is really used if someone has ingrown hairs or their skin in the Brazilian area is excessively dry and dehydrated. You want to help to exfoliate that area. You don't need a lot, just maybe a pea-size amount or a large pea-size amount. And you want to apply a thin layer, kind of like you're applying lotion, kind of spread it on the area, and then you're going to let that sit for maybe 30-60 seconds until it no longer feels sticky or tacky. Then what we're going to do is buff it off. It's like a sloughing cream because we want to get rid of those dead skin cells so that the hairs can pop right out of the follicle, especially, like I said, if they're having trouble with ingrown hairs. So I can feel that this isn't sticky or tacky anymore. So what I am going to do is start buffing. And I just keep the skin taut and buff with my hands. And I don't know if you can see, you probably can't really see, but it is buffing the dead skin cells off of my skin and onto my table. So that means now that that skin is going to be much softer, much smoother. And this is something that you can do post-Brazilian because it's very gentle. It works using a pumpkin and a papaya enzyme to gently exfoliate and slough off the dead skin cells. And once you've done that, then you can apply a little bit of Wonder Whip. So the idea is that you're exfoliating that skin so that those hairs aren't trapped underneath anymore. And then you're going to put the Wonder Whip on top to keep that skin hydrated. And because you've exfoliated, that Wonder Whip's going to penetrate a little bit deeper to make sure that skin gets nice and soft and supple. So these two, the Buff Stuff and the Wonder Whip, are really great to use together and to recommend to your clients for home use.